Hello, hello, hello. So I am here to talk about Cyberpunk, GTA Online, or GTA in general, and Red Dead Redemption. And I want to give my opinion on which one I think is the best. Now, mind you, this is just my preferences and my taste. I am going off the cuff here, so it might be some spoilers ahead. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, then turn off the video. But if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and share. This is the good thing and the bad thing about GTA. Right now, my character is putting some stuff on a conveyor belt. I think it's tobacco, possibly. I'm not sure. And so they have made it to where it seems like they're trying to make it kid friendly. It just seemed like something that's tailored for kids. Now, sometimes I don't mind just doing simple everyday tasks. I do like shooter games, don't get me wrong. But sometimes, believe it or not, I get tired of shooting. So let's start with GTA 5 to be, particular. Um, I think the pacing of that game is pretty good. I like it because, you know, it has a good flow to it. Um, my main criticism is I thought three protagonists was a bit too much. I think one or two would have been just fine, but I guess maybe they were experimenting. And so, yeah, you had three protagonists. And so we all know that they have the GTA Online version. So there's variety in that. Some people wanted expansions to GTA 5. I felt indifferent, if I'm honest. I didn't really feel like I needed an expansion in GTA 5, but a lot of people wanted it. They really loved the characters. And in a sense, they kind of did make an expansion, at least for Franklin. So if you're on GTA Online, it's a certain business that, Franklin and Lamar run. So you can kind of get a sense of it being an expansion through them, in a sense. And they really have I don't want to say an expansion, but they really have a business that showcases Michael a little bit, and one where you get a glimpse of Trever, but it's not really an expansion, but the Franklin business kind of feels like you're getting more of his character in the story. And like I said, sometimes if you just want to wind down, you're not really just trying to do anything that's long and drawn out. You can do little things like this, but the online version is mainly about building your empire. And I mean, it could really honestly be anything that you want it to be. You don't have to. Someone was playing with me and I told them, well, the goal is to make money and to become rich and own everything. But I'm like, in all reality, though, you can really play it however you want. If you just want to be in a lobby and play around, you can do that. So I like the variety of the online version of GTA 5. And I also like GTA 5 because it just has a better flow. I'm going to hop over that and go to Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk 2077 is for a particular audience. It's not going to be for everybody, even if you are into shooters. And I would classify Cyberpunk 2077 as a shooter game. But in my opinion, it is a little bit dark and gritty. And not only dark and gritty in terms of just how it looks, because there's a sense of beauty in that game as well. But the topics can get pretty, deep and heavy. And I might be a little bit old fashioned when I say this. I am of the belief that video games should kind of take you away from reality a little bit. It's nothing wrong with a little bit of realness to it, but we're trying to have fun. So I felt like, although I did enjoy certain aspects of Cyberpunk 2077, um, it was a scene that you can, not a scene, but there is a couple of quest lines that you can do with a certain male character, and I really actually liked his character because his quest lines were a little bit more lighthearted, whereas the other ones, they just was really serious. And one of the characters, I don't even think I did his quest line. I'm like, I'm just not about to do that. I'm not saying I never will, because sometimes I might go back just to, play some of the quest lines that I hadn't played. And so I don't want to say what I would never do, but at the time, I'm like, I don't feel like that's something that I want to do. And so that's where Cyberpunk kind of, gets knocked down a couple of levels, in my personal opinion, because I think GTA kept the fun in video games. Yeah, you're shooting, and yeah, they might talk about certain political things, but I kind of feel like they more or less poke fun at things versus really try to get you to feel, emotional about it. And I've even, read comments up under like Cyberpunk video game posts how, they had to take a break from the game because a certain quest line, was a little bit too much emotionally for them. And to me, again, I'm not going to tell, CD Projekt Red how they should make games, because a lot of people do like it. And there's a lot of things about the game that I did like. And so I can't sit up here and say, well, you ought to do this, you ought to do that, because I'm not a game developer. I'm just not. But yeah, it was certain things like I kind of felt slightly hoodwinked at times, because it just, I did do a little small side quest and I didn't really think much of it. And it turned out to be like really sad. It was like a real bummer to me. So the thing is, I don't really like knowing everything about a game before I play it. I do want to know a little something about a game just so I know if it's worth playing or not, or if it's for me. But I usually just kind of briefly, try to check out games and see how it looks from other YouTubers and social media creators. But for the most part, I typically am surprised by a lot of things in video games when I do play them. And so, yeah, that's one of my complaints. And also, I think it's a beautiful city. I'm talking about Cyberpunk still. I think it's a beautiful city. But the ads are what do they call it? Stimulation overload. It's just a lot going on. And some of the ads are just anywhere from kind of wonky and crazy to unsettling, disturbing. It's just like a lot going on. I mean, you do get a little bit desensitized, but I don't know if I can really recommend Cyberpunk 2077 for someone that might be struggling with certain things, and I'm gonna just leave it at that. Let's get on to RDR2, Red Dead Redemption 2. So some people, really, really value and treasure that game. I think I probably put in, maybe around 20 hours in the story mode. I actually played online before I played the story mode. So I really didn't, have any in particular expectations of it. I wasn't really drawn to Red Dead Redemption, if I'm being honest. I like more modern games, or maybe even futuristic games, but I prefer like modern games like GTA 5. So I might be slightly biased. A lot of times some people say if it is boring, maybe play it for 4 or 5 hours and then eventually it'll reel you in. And it took me longer than that. And so that was somewhat of a disappointment. I just don't think that a game should take that long to kind of reel you in. Now, something happened with Cyberpunk where they say the first 5 hours is actually some of the best moments, and then it kind of gets repetitive or boring. And I would probably have to agree. I would probably have to agree that it does get somewhat dry. And another thing about Cyberpunk 2077 is they really have a hard time, in my opinion, with balance. Sometimes the dialogue just feels too long, and then sometimes the combat scenes feel too long. Now, if you're just going around the map doing little small gigs or something like that, sometimes it's okay, but some of the main storylines or even the expansion, I noticed I would be like, when is this battle going to end? But one thing I will say, or this is my opinion, I do think that Cyberpunk knows how to make you feel connected to certain characters. And even though I really enjoyed, GTA 5 and GTA Online, I can't really say I felt connected to any characters like that. And, but online, if you play with the right person and if you play with them repeatedly, you can connect to like a character, like a real one. And again, this is from my experience and perspective. Doesn't mean that your experience is right or wrong. Some people like games right off the bat. Most games, it takes me some time to warm up to it. But GTA 5, honestly, I didn't connect with it immediately because I just didn't know how to play video games. I'm new to video games, meaning that, I got like 3 years under my belt. So I haven't played video games as long as probably the average video gamer, whereas they've been playing since they were like 8 and it's been 20 years. Like I didn't play video games like that. But anyways, GTA kind of drew me in once I knew how to play a video game, because I had to go back to it again. Because I literally did not know how to drive in that game. I did not know how to do anything. I might have a video on my channel showcasing my humble beginnings in GTA. But yeah, I didn't know how to control anything. So playing the story mode was a little bit difficult. What helped me with that actually is I played Fortnite a little bit. And that helped me to get better control over the control of my characters. So when I went back to GTA, I was better able to, drive and do things in the game. And so that really, really helped. I still needed to adjust my settings. That also was not set up right and I didn't know it. But anyways, once I got all of that situated, GTA story kind of pulled me in pretty quick. It didn't take a long time for me to get into it. And if you're familiar with GTA 5, it kind of starts off with action, so it's no long drawn out build up. Okay, so let me talk about Red Dead Redemption 2. Like I said, I just didn't feel drawn to it. The era of the game, the 1920 or 1890s or whatever, year was set in. I just wasn't really feeling the whole, naturey thing in a video game. Maybe because I somewhat live around nature, I kind of feel like in a video game I want to see more of the city. But I actually started it when I was living in a city, and I ended up moving shortly after I started GTA. But I don't know, it's just, I just like seeing houses and bridges and, vehicles. I like to see, just regular things that I would see every day. So I'm just more drawn to that as of now. But Red Dead Redemption 2 atmosphere in the story mode did eventually grow on me, being around the camp and the characters in the camp. So, yeah, I mean, it took me a while. It took me longer than 5 hours to get into it. And I was listening to a YouTuber, and him and his girlfriend or wife played Red Dead Redemption, and they didn't criticize it, but they did say, it took a long time for it to pick up. Now, I'm just the opposite. I actually like the very beginning of it, like when you're in the snow, I actually like that part. But a lot of people feel like that's the boring part and the slow. I actually kind of liked it. I can't say it was an awesome experience or extra great to me, but it kept me interested. But yeah, it took me a while, honestly, to connect with the characters, And what I do like about Red Dead Redemption is once you do finally get familiar with the characters, not only their names, but once you get familiar with their personality traits, you start to feel, well, I started to feel a little bit more immersed in the game, and then getting used to just how the game plays, because some people say it's a little bit wonky. The characters can walk a little bit too slow, and I have experienced that. I done flipped over my horse I don't know how many times. Not as much as I thought I was, but there were times where it seemed like my horse would just not jump over something when it typically does, and I would flip over. But, that wasn't like a deal breaker to me, because by the time I really put my time into Red Dead Redemption 2, I was like ready for it. I was just ready to have a more, toned down, slower pace. I was ready to play a more toned down, slower paced game. And actually, the pace does pick up, as you may know. And, towards a certain amount of time playing in the game, I started to really enjoy the little scenes that I was playing. And, yeah, but that's what kind of hurts Red Dead Redemption 2 is the slow startup. And also what hurts Cyberpunk is the fact that it has a good startup, but then it kind of slows down and it's kind of complicated. Like, you can be playing it, and I've heard other people say this too. If you're not like a really tech geek, I mean, a lot of the jargon and the lingo, you got to learn that. You got to know what words really mean what, because it's like I said, it's a lot of little slang that you got to get used to, and it's highly technical and futuristic, and half of the time, honestly, I didn't even really know what they were talking about. And also, it's more of a multiple choice type game where you choose the dialogue that you want the character to say, and it's cool when you're playing it, but it's, to me, a little bit more difficult to watch, because I just want to watch somebody play a game. I don't really want to read. Like, if I want to read, I'd rather read a book. But I had to get used to it, and once I got used to it, I kind of liked it, because it does make you feel, I feel it makes you feel more immersed when you do choose the dialogue. But in the beginning, after playing, Rockstar games, and I'm just so used to cutscenes, which I have no problem with cutscenes. I still would prefer that, honestly. But Cyberpunk, like I said, I think it makes you feel a little bit more immersed when you actually feel like you can choose what to say, even though they call it an illusion of choice, because the outcome is going to be what it is. But it grew on me. So I don't want to babble on, but I just want to know, what do y'all think? Do y'all think that I think GTA is still the better game when it's all said and done. But again, that's my preference. I know a lot of people love Red Dead Redemption 2. And I think third in place probably is Cyberpunk 2077. But there's a lot of people that love that game. I like all three of them for different reasons. But I have to go with Rockstar. I'd like for the game to just flow. They just have a better flow. And Cyberpunk, again, they were either too long on the dialogue sometimes, or they were too long on the combat scenes, in my opinion. And I just feel like Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA has more of a balance when it comes to cutscenes and fighting and combat. A weakness with GTA, though, and most of y'all probably have experienced that, hand-to-hand fighting really, really sucks in GTA. They're horrible. That is their weakness. You can shoot, you can drive, but that dang on combat, that hand-to-hand combat, fist fighting is really, really off in GTA. And also driving is awkward in Cyberpunk. It's fun though, if you're just doing a straight drive like this. But when you have to when you're being chased or something like that, I mean, my cars was slipping on sand, not on ice, but my car would slip on sand. Like it was pretty horrible. But once you are just cruising and taking in the environment, it can be a really cool experience. So let me know what you think. What is your favorite game? And again, just because this is my opinion doesn't mean, it's the most important opinion. Everybody likes different games for different reasons. Some people like it for the story. Some people do like it for the action. Some people like it for the graphics, how beautiful it is. And, so again, they all have their pros and cons in my personal opinion. I think Cyberpunk, and people might disagree, I think character bonding, they do the best with that. I think you can, feel connected to the characters. Certain people and certain players might feel connections with the character that I don't think GTA has been able to quite pull off. I mean, maybe in GTA 6, they might be able to do it, but I highly doubt it. And maybe all that long dialoguing, maybe that's what helps you connect with the characters. I don't know. But what would take you maybe 15 hours to connect with a character in a Rockstar game, I feel like you can connect with a character maybe in 5 hours or a lot shorter. So I don't know exactly what Cyberpunk does to make that happen, but you do feel more connected. You do have romance options, and that could be good or bad, because if you play as a certain sex in the game, you have a certain predetermined romance choices, which I didn't like that, because I kind of felt like my character in Cyberpunk had more chemistry with a certain character, but I was kind of stuck with another character, which eventually that character grew on me, but I still felt like my character would have went better with another character. But anyways, I hope you get what I'm saying. So again, they all have their pros and cons. I think graphically, all the games are beautiful. I always thought that GTA was a beautiful game aesthetically, but I think Cyberpunk kind of gave me that same impression, and it's very unique. I mean, they might end up making more games that look like that, but I never seen a game that looked quite like Cyberpunk, so it was very unique at that. I have played other games. They may not have been as good as GTA, but I have played games that kind of look like they can pass for a GTA as far as the graphics. But yeah, I mean, all 3 games are beautiful, wonderfully made in terms of the aesthetics. And so, yeah, I feel that I'm rambling now. So let me know what you think, and comment if you feel moved to, and please give it a thumbs up if you like the video, and let me know what is your favorite video game and why.